Hello, welcome back to the Global Falcons Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew L.G. Hunter.
And I'm your host, Angela Hunter.
And we're bringing you the stories of the week. As always, we'll list off all 4 stories, and then we'll dive right into each one. Stories of the week this week is...
Open source tool maps flooding.
City introduces night mayors.
Quantum computing in medicine.
And 4 tips for climate smart farming. Interesting. There's also 4 within that. Let's dive right in.
So open source tool maps flooding. In Thessaly, Greece in 2023, there was a catastrophic storm that hit. And so they used this digital platform to gather information from various people about the damage to identify what the community needed, what supports they needed, and to help gather volunteers to help hand out supplies and things like that. So I'm probably going to say this wrong. These names are always so hard because
they are.
We're in North America, and a lot of these countries are in Europe and Africa. So they're
our names are like Tim and Jim.
Yeah, they don't come naturally to us. So this is Ushadi Global Nonprofit, and this is out of Kenya. They actually started in 2008, and they started this interactive map. And so it was originally started to map post-election violence. So when new political parties came in, there was typically periods of unrest and things like that. So they used this interactive map where people could actually send information on what was happening in their community and area, and then they could send in proper supports. So they took that technology and then applied it to natural disasters. So if a flood or a hurricane or a tornado or something like that happens in your area, you can text into this map and it'll input all the information and then be able to assemble those volunteers, send food as necessary, send emergency supports that are close by.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Hold on one second before you dive into the next part of that. This has been bothering me like a lot. Let's see. That'll make it better. That is a little bit better, but I think I can get a bang on here. Bear with me. Some OCD kicking in here. You can thank my mother for that one. All right. That's much better. Yeah. Geez, I couldn't stop looking at that. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
Yes, they're just using this data to analyze the situation and then act on it.
Wow.
So the point of it is to help fair outcomes for all. So people that are experiencing natural disasters and don't have supports nearby, they can text information into this map, and then supports will come from all over the world, because now everything is so global. It doesn't have to be just why can't I think of the word, like
local?
Close by. Yeah, local. So I think that's really helpful, and it's nice that you can use technology for one thing and apply it to various situations. And I think that's really how technology grows.
Mm-hmm.
When you design it for something and someone sees what you've done, it's like, I can take this and do something completely different using the exact same technology.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this podcast, right? Is to inform you guys about what's going on in the world so that you can, give your head a scratch and be like, wow, that's really great. I think I could bring that into my city or my country. So, very cool.
Yeah.
Where do you think it's leading, though? I know we talked a little bit about this when we were doing some research on it, and I personally think it's going to be like, this might sound weird, but I think it's going to be the NARC system, you don't like something that's going on in your city, your street, your neighbor, and it's going to be a place for you to, free speech in a world that's being viewed as mis and disinformation. This will be the place to kind of take this information and decipher what's real, what's not real, and the actions needed forward. I think it's a little spooky, but the good that it's doing right now is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the lives it will save, like you were saying, it's great. But I really do feel like this is
like China with the social credit score,
yeah.
And you tell on your neighbors.
And then your credit score goes up a little bit because you did a good deed. And like, I got to admit, there's a lot of pros to that, but at the same time, it's like, shit, man. What like you're not even going to be able to go that extra day without mowing your lawn or something, before your credit score goes. I don't know, but that's a conspiracy side of things, and that's not what we're really here to talk about. But okay. So wait, do you have more for that?
Oh, there was so Angela Lungati was the executive director of that business, and she said that the open source nature of it is sort of what makes the app different than other things. So they use satellite data and things like that are generated through companies and whatever, but they also it's open source so that anybody can use it. Like anyone can text in the information. And I think that's what makes it different than like standard weather models that they use when there's a natural disaster. It's really like for the people. So
that is different. It's like a social media for weather and anomalies.
Yeah, they even have they're on X, so you can report through that. You can report through texting, and
you can also, while you're on X, add us up. I'm, as you know, Andrew LG Hunter on all platforms, including X. Hit me up.
On X, I'm actually YXE Crypto Hunter, which is different than the rest of the platforms where I'm just Angela Hunter. And yeah, so that app sort of lets different perspectives come in from real people. So it's not just data from scientists or data from people that are working in that field. It's real people and what they're experiencing and what their actual needs are. And it's not just guessed needs, which is sort of what we've been basing things on from before, is what we think that people need. But
that is interesting. The more I think about it, the more I think this is a great idea. Like, okay, we always mention a movie. Here's a movie, Back to the Future 2, when they enter, 2015, from 1985. They go there and they're in that alleyway, him and Doc, and Doc gets out of the DeLorean, and Marty's like, it's raining. He's like, oh, he's like, hold on 3 seconds. And then the rain just stops, and it's because their weather it's so easily updatable. Yeah, that's what I'm catching from this. Like, it's gonna be not like that, but like people can report everywhere because they are everywhere, right? Whereas, like you were saying, it's just guesswork these days because, well, up until this app, anyways, it's just been guesswork because, the networks will be like, okay, it's not going to rain this day. Well, sometimes, especially in Saskatoon here, it'll be 4 different weathers across our city. And if you drive down Circle Drive, you'll see each and every one of them. One time I was driving, it was sunny, it was raining, and then it was snowing, all on Circle Drive. What is that? It's not 4, but it's 3. Yeah, that's Saskatchewan weather. All I need was a tornado or something, or twister. So I love that. It's going to be a big thing, I think. I think you're right on that. Did you nail that one?
Yeah.
I think so too. Great work. Get me up there. Let us know if you liked it, and I don't know, throw a comment down. I want to know what you think. Okay, next one is cities introduce nightmares. Now, the little joke we heard about while we were researching this is it's not nightmares, it's nightmares. So every city and town, they have a mayor. But the problem with that is that each mayor is only there for 8 hours, and then they go, and sometimes less, right? If they have a long lunch or something like that, their actual physical work hours are much less than 8 hours a day. So the idea here is that they start introducing, each city starts introducing nightmares for each shift, I guess, right? So you have the morning shift, the afternoon, and the night. So that way, 24 hours a day, there can be a growing economy. Because right now, let me see here. I thought I wrote some statistics for this. Turns out I didn't. Okay, yeah. There are more than 80 cities right now that are trying the nightlife director. That's what we like to call them, nightlife director, because nightmare is just terrible.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So this will help keep each city safe, vibrant, and prosperous all throughout the day and all throughout the night. There's a lot of people who are party goers or whatever, and you get off work, and because you're off work, if you work a morning shift, almost everybody else is off work too. So the problem there is if you want to do something for your personal life or your family life, you need to take a day off work. Just go and do that. Like right now, everything's tripled in prices or value, or what would you call that? Our economy has
inflation.
The inflation. Thank you. Inflation has taken over so hard that if you take a day off, you're risking possibly your month of living, right? And that's not good. So the idea here is to make everything 24 hours a day so that everybody has a chance to have every opportunity they need, right? And then also for party people, that's a lot of our research led us to party people is they can now do whatever they want and go wherever they want because they're not just secluded to, say, a bar, which is usually the only thing that's open past a certain time anyways. Mm-hmm. So this would be really good. And I know a lot of dentistry, they're getting on board with this already. They're starting to stay open late. And, some of them, my sister worked for one, they were 24/7, I think.
I think so. They were always open crazy hours.
Yeah.
I think it was like emergency dental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this so now it would be not just for emergencies, it would be for everything. All your needs would be met just by having these night life directors. And the cool thing about that is I personally think we're heading to in a direction where we axe a bunch of these public servants that aren't really needed anymore. I think that's going to be one of the first sectors that gets hit with AI and humanoids. And as it should, because right now we're paying such a large amount for our way of living, our taxes, just to pay them. In Canada alone, $25 billion a year goes to paying public servants. When we're running a deficit of $40 billion at $1.2 billion a year in interest alone. That's insane. So right now, if you count everything, all the taxes added up in Canada, that's $166 billion a year that goes to the government for public servants, for roads, for infrastructure, for anything that we need. But majority of that is going to interest rates and public servants. So we're always and will always be in this continuous cycle of debt. And that is a problem. So I think, like I said, we're going to start axing some of those jobs, and as we should. The only thing that'll be left is kind of like these nightlife directors, these IT positions, and what would be another one? IT directors, and I guess just managers to direct these humanoids and AI divisions for each division that has AI introduced into it. It's actually exciting. I know there's a lot of fear behind that. That's not what my intent is here. It's going to create other jobs in other places, right? With that much, people will be taxed less. And if people are taxed less, then that means more prosperity for the entire world, or your country, rather.
Yeah, and I think it's going to make a big difference for shift workers. Like, I know a lot of people that really enjoy shift work. It's definitely not for me. I love my 9 to 5, Monday to Friday life. But I do know lots of people that love shift work, and when they have to work a night or something, it's hard to be up the next day to do the things that you need to get done. So then they can work a night, come off their shift, do the things they need to do without wondering if places are going to be open, trying to manage their time throughout the day to have a nap so that they can get up to do appointments and shopping and whatever, and then go back to sleep before their next shift. I just feel like if it's open more hours, it's more easier for everyone to sort of regulate their life. And there's tons of people that are morning people and tons of people that are night people, so they can sort of adjust their schedule as necessary and not based on society says things are open 8 to 5 and not after.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. It's true. A buddy I used to run a business with, actually, he was just the worst morning person you've ever met. he would sleep and sleep and sleep, and man, sometimes I'd be shaking him. He would just wouldn't wake up. It was insane. So, I agree. I think that's going to be a big thing, and it's also going to, like, more jobs will be able to open up for police workers. Other positions within the government will then be able to be opened up, right? Because we're talking a 24/7 economy. We're not like the 9 to 5, like she's saying. That's going to be a thing of the past. It's 24/7 economy. That's amazing.
Which we already sort of get from the online market, but like you can't go to a museum online, or you can do virtual tours, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And if you're up late at night and you want to see a museum at midnight, like why not?
Yeah. The night director role, because that's the main thing we're talking about here. I know we talked about a lot about the economy, but the night director role will be poured into 3 buckets. Okay. So 3 mayors, 3 shifts. I did mention that. But now it'll be maintaining a presence at event openings and community celebrations and gatherings. Even every mayor will tell you that they're so busy. But are they? They're only so busy because their sleep schedule is all messed up because they're going to all of these different occasions, all of these different openings, all of these different celebrations, and that's a big problem. So, 1, it's going to take off stress from the mayor and allow a mayor's presence to be in more places. So 3 mayors for every city. Let's go. I volunteer. I volunteer as tribute.
For nighttime or daytime?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll take either one. I'll adjust. No, let's see here. Number 2 is standing up for the hospitality sector. Now, this is a huge thing in Canada right now with our healthcare. Lots of people out there will know that our healthcare is, yes, free, but it's very limited. And it's limited because there's a lot of grievances right now, and it's almost impossible to talk to everybody with these grievances and then correct them. How do you do that if you only have somebody doing 9 to 5 and working on that?
I think hospitality is more hotels and restaurants.
Okay, let's go with that one. But that was my takeaway, and that's a big thing.
It's important too, because
super important.
Yeah, emergency centers are 24/7 right now, but there's not much support after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was hospital because hospital's in hospitality. I didn't think that, just for the record here. Okay, I just thought that because it's a person-to-person business that is, you're being cared for, right? Yeah. That's why
it is service industry.
Yeah. Okay, the hospitality sector. What's standing up for the hospitality sector?
Like restaurants and hotels. Like hotels are sort of open late, but I mean you can't check in after a certain time. Yeah. Lots of restaurants close.
Right, and we did mention
fairly
that.
Early.
Yeah, we did get on that. Okay, so number 3 is helping venue owners navigate complex bureaucracy. So again, this 9 to 5 way of dealing with something, and then yes, they have put it online, a lot of these things, but you're in a queue, right? And then that queue is only being looked after from 9 to 5. That's not enough. It's just not enough. I feel like we're going in a circle now because we talked so well about all of these before I mentioned the 3 things. So, and we did talk among ourselves. So, okay, here's a fun fact. Cities from Berlin to Montreal are already working towards this 24/7 economy. And that's really great. So it's already in Canada a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a while until it trickles into Saskatoon, but that will come.
Yeah, I feel like Montreal is a good starting place because they do have so many culturally rich places. They do have lots of museums. They have lots of just interesting things to do that aren't just bars. For nightlife in Saskatoon, we really have nothing.
Yeah, we're not big drinkers. Ange drinks sometimes, but when I say drinks, it's like once in a blue moon, and it's only because she's at a function or something and she's having one, but I stopped drinking a long time ago, and it's because being in these places, these nightlife places, it's, what are you doing? What are you even celebrating? We can celebrate so many different ways for so many different things, and it doesn't have to involve drinking. So I don't know. I see that, and I know what it does to your brain. Okay, it shrinks your brain. It sucks out all the juices because of what? It's a solvent. It's a liquor, right? So it sucks those things out, and essentially, you put yourself under a scanner. What are you going to look like? You're going to look. I know this is a bad word. But you're going to look stupid. You're going to look retarded. Okay. It's not very good. That word will probably come back to bite me in the butt later.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but what else am I saying here? You don't function right. That's the problem. When you drink. Jesus.
Yeah, when you drink.
I just thought about that more. Okay, I'll stop talking about that now. Wow. Next one, Angela.
Quantum computing in medicine.
Nice.
So
hold on.
This is great because, well, clearly we've talked. This is great because clearly we've talked about the medical sector in Canada and how it's not functioning as it should be, and we're having difficulties, prescriptions, and everything like that. It's hard to even get in to see a family doctor if you can get a family doctor, which is a big struggle here. So quantum computing is actually helping in this area, which is amazing.
And real quick, we talked about this before on a different podcast about some of the apps that are available for medicine. Refer back to those. We'll have it in the description of the video. I'm not sure which video, but check those out. It's very good and very powerful.
Mm-hmm. So what quantum computing can do is they can take mathematical recipes and run them through a quantum simulator, which can model complex events like how molecules and atoms are going to interact in the body.
Oh.
So right now, when companies are developing a new drug, they have to do so much testing and then adjustments, testing, adjustments, and you never know how it's going to act in different bodies and things like that. So the quantum computer can actually simulate the molecular structure of this new drug and then run trials on how it could potentially target certain proteins, how it would bond to those proteins, and it can do this extremely fast. So,
well, yeah, it's a quantum computer, right?
Yeah, and then it can also map out potential therapeutic effects that it'll have on individuals based on how the molecules bind to those proteins. And it can just run all these things day and night once you plug the data in, and then it'll tell you what adjustments you need to make because it'll be able to find those out without testing on humans. And I'm assuming that right now it's not totally perfect, as most things like AI, it's fairly new, it's still being developed, there's a bit of a way to go. But this is going to cut down decades off of developing new drugs.
I would think even more, especially with the quantum, the computing, what is that called again? The computation rate for computers and AI. It used to 10x like 20 years ago every year. Now it's 100x every year. And then I just heard from NVIDIA's guy there, it 1,000x's every month now or something like that. That's insane.
Yeah, just based on the growth and its self-learning principles and things like that. So, like right now, for the recent pandemic, that mRNA vaccine, they'd been developing it for decades before they input the proteins that they would need to tackle this specific illness. And so if they didn't already have that started decades ago, that would not have been able to roll out so quickly because most universities, I'm assuming, don't have quantum computers right now just based off of how expensive they are. So I'm assuming that large companies have them, but I don't know that many research universities do. I know that universities have large budgets and things like that, but I don't think that they have quite the deep pockets that big corporations have. And I'm not sure exactly partnerships that they have with these companies that would enable them access. But I think as quantum computing gets more developed, just like the computer, like before no one could afford a computer. Having a personal computer was something for the rich, for companies, for universities. And then as it gets developed and developed and developed, it gets retailed and more people have access. So I think the same will be with quantum computing. It just needs to be more and more developed before it's more and more accessible.
Actually, you know what? Quantum computers, NVIDIA, I
think it's NVIDIA.
Whichever. They just came out with a quantum computer chip about this big, and it has a fan on it and everything. $249. They're expected to put these into every single humanoid.
It's crazy.
A quantum computer in every single humanoid. Do you know what that means? That's insane. And for $250, that's cheaper than your cell phone.
Yeah.
That's insane.
For real. So, I don't think I wrote down the name of the company, but quantum computers today are actually too small to run these type of medical testing. But there is a company that developed a quantum simulator, and they're in Copenhagen. So they devised a software that actually upgrades the processing power of the current quantum computers. And so you don't need a bigger computer, you just need this extra software that you can put into it, and that's how they can run these complex models that typically the quantum computers of today wouldn't be able to handle without it. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. It's just like the old games we used to get. Now you can get a game on an app on your phone and not have to do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an update that's through the cloud. But back in the day, you had to go buy a box of cereal to go get this game so that you could fucking put it into your computer and then play a game.
Yeah, and you had to sit there and wait for the entire thing to download.
Oh my god, yeah. And then you could only play it with that disc in the computer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, now you don't need such things, which is great. I think that's all I had written for it. It isn't surprising to me that this is in Copenhagen. I think that's sort of in those Scandinavian countries like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, where they have like a really robust medical field. And it would just be mind-blowing to go there and see the like stark difference from Canada.
Yeah, well, I think the medical field's going to get hit the hardest with AI in a positive way, right? And like we went and seen the synchrotron here in Saskatoon, and just cool. Thinking about that and how that worked on vaccines and stuff as well. And that cost like $1 billion to make. Now, a quantum computer is doing the same work, and we just told you just one chip alone that they're coming out with now is $250. The quantum computers already, some of them are a couple $100,000. Right, for the big ones that take up a whole room, and they need like basically an ice box to like an ice box to even make sure it doesn't overheat. So like we're making the right steps forward, and it's just going to be interesting to see where it all pans out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. Okay, 4 tips for climate smart farming, and we've talked a little bit about smart farming before, and some of the technology that's going into this to help farmers stop that backbreaking work, right? This is a little different. So it's more of the like business end-to-end things, right? Sorry. So natural resources are lacking, and the next generation of farmers, they're not sure they even want to farm, right? They're trying to look elsewhere for different opportunities because they just want to get out of the family business because it's such backbreaking work when all of these things are coming up now that aren't, right? So the initiative right now is to bring the farming sector into the next generation, right? And make this as simple and as easy as possible. So farmers are under pressure all around the world to ensure that this happens, okay? Climate-friendly agriculture can help provide a sustainable future for the planet. So what does that mean? We need to start doing things that are friendly for the climate, okay? Running all these machines that use oil bases and, spreading these pesticides around, these are no good. This isn't good for our future, and it's not good for our health. Less water needs to be used in more hydroponic ways. So this can be done inside as well. So right now in Canada, farmers they're stuck to like a 6 to 8 month period where they can be farming and prepping. That's not enough time. It's not enough time to be making money. You could be making, if you use this land and you set up a bunch of shops and you start using hydroponic, you're going to make a lot more money, and you're going to help the economy in a larger way.
Yeah, and be able to produce a lot more. We actually did talk about the hydroponic system in grocery stores.
That's right.
I can't remember what country that was in.
Or what episode, but you can go back and check out the episodes. What were we going to say about it?
Oh, just that's kind of like that idea on a
Hmm.
small scale. So bringing that into the actual agriculture center or sector is huge.
Yeah. Well, right now this is actually a struggle for small farms, a major struggle, um, where 1/3 of the world's food is processed. Oh, produced. Sorry. That's funny. 1/3 of the world's food is produced, and it's a struggle for small farms. Most farmers do not see change as a priority, and this is a problem. So, Dean Wensing, sorry, Dean, he leads IDH, and I never really did find out what that stands for. Dean, you got to work on that, my friend. IDH convenes businesses, convenes. I wrote this down, and it's a little scribbly there. Apologize again. They conveys. It must be conveys. They convey investors and governments to transform the global agriculture world / industry. To provide, I can't believe I just said slash. LOL.
Speech to text.
Yeah. Geez. To provide better jobs, higher income, and a resilient environment system. So, let's see here. There's 4 ways, like I mentioned, and I'm going to hit number 1 here. So, foster long-term partnerships with buyers to secure sustainable incomes. So, this can be done with smaller farms if they join forces. You know, it's pretty simple when you think about it. If you're a business and you want to grow, what do? You buy another business, you merge with another business to gain their clients, right? So this would be different. As everyone knows, most farmers take pride in that farm. They don't want to give that farm up, right? So this would be a way that you create essentially a venture. You merge your businesses together without actually merging them. So it's more like a pool of businesses that then can have more sway in the market. You know, they join forces, they have a sway, they get better buying power, and they can impact the prices of things, but in a fair way, because then they can all bring those resources together, negotiate with, say, investors, and build these terminals that I'm talking about for hydroponics, or just different systems for every, you know, you're going to have a different system in each country you're in, right? So by merging together, you'll be able to build and expand in different ways that you weren't able to before. I'm not saying merge together just so you can have better buying power. That's not good enough. You need to start doing things in a different way. So you merge your business together to start building together in a different way, right?
Yeah, a good alternative to merging is also just forming co-ops.
Yeah.
It's huge here in Saskatchewan, and sort of what do they call it? The Midwest in the States. They have lots of cooperatives there, and that's just a group of business coming together and using their buying power as small individual companies.
As leverage.
Yeah. So a nice alternative to that. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Now, there can come with a lot of bureaucracy with that. If you want more say, my opinion is you because those are a lot of the bigger ones too, right? What you want to do is, what I'm saying anyways, is you want to like grab the small business or the small farms, right? Right now there's, geez, I wrote this down. It's a staggering number. I think it's 873 million people work in the agriculture sector. That's huge. That's almost 1/8 of our entire economy. The entire world, I'm talking here. 1/8 is in farming. So,
which is good. They feed all.
Yeah, they feed the other 7. Right? The other 7, well, that sounds weird. The other 7th.
Yeah, the other 7/8. Yeah,
the other 7/8 of, there we go. The other 7/8 they're feeding.
Plus themselves.
Very good, Angela.
I got all the math.
Railroading me here. Okay, no. So the next one is to provide affordable long-term finance. Right now, a lot of farmers they're not getting the finance they need. And more to my point is a lot of businesses aren't getting the finances they need. Some are upwards of 30%, and then the interest on that is another 30%. Do you know what I mean? So I think I said that weird, but I think you get the idea. Like, you get a loan, you're paying 30% interest on that loan, right? And usually to get a loan, you're not getting a loan past like 30% of equity that you already have. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not, if you have 100% of something, you're like, hey, I have 100%. I'm willing to risk 100%. No, no, you have to have your own expenses covered and stuff like that. So out of all that 100%, there's 30% there that you can play with. Out of that 30%, you're paying interest on it. So you'll never get a loan that big, and you'll never get it that fair. So the solution is blended financing, they're calling it. And I think it's a very good idea. This would be taking commercial capital right now that's tied up doing nothing because nobody's buying commercial. And all this capital is just sitting in banks, essentially depreciating. But due to bureaucracies and the way things are set up, is they cannot give funds that are meant for commercial, for like say residential or any other kind of business. That's a big problem because nobody wants to get into commercial, and that money is now sitting there doing nothing. So we need to take that commercial funds and start pumping it into other sectors, and not at a 30% interest rate. Get the hell out of here with that. Mm-hmm. That's insane. I see this happening for more industries. So the idea here is that these loans would be backed by the government and or a donor of some sort. I'm not really sure what donor means. I think that means these other like NGOs out there holding these funds that say they get from the government, right? And I think eventually those funds, they're just going to be backed by the government themselves. So if not used now, so start using them now. It's going to make it easier for farmers to repay, because if it's backed by the government, that means a longer term. And that's huge. A lot of these 30% ones out there right now, they it's like yearly. Mm-hmm. That's insane. I mean, you don't pay that on your house. Why would you pay that on some loan that's probably going to cost more in the end? So getting it backed by the government to ensure the person, the donor, is able to limit their exposure, right? And ensure that they get that money back. This is going to be big, and that brings me to number 3. Ensure farmers have access to the tools and techniques or technical support they need. So, as I said, we're heading into the future, and the future has different tech. Now, a lot of these farmers, they're old school. They don't really understand that stuff. So the idea here is to give people the skills, and not just the skills, have access to people with the skills that can help them integrate their business into the future. And this will help the next generation. And it's also going to limit the learning curve, which is huge, right? No farmer wants to take off time, especially if it's not in their off season anyways. They're not going to want to take off time to go back to school. Like, these guys, they didn't go to school for a reason. They just did the work, So if they can have the new style of working shown to them in an apprenticeship type style, then they can cut that learning curve in half, and the time it's going to take to integrate. So there you go. There you have it. And here's number 4. Persuade companies to invest in helping farmers cut their emissions. So with going into the future, it's very important that we take a stance that's net zero. And by doing that, we're going to cut emissions, right? So a lot of these humanoids and a lot of these sound a little loud there. A lot of these this new tech out there. A lot of this new tech is very expensive, and a lot of businesses that are working on this don't have anyone to buy it. So the idea here is that you take your business stuff and you go to the farmers and you say, hey, I want you to start using this product. And not only that, I want you to let me view you using this product so that we get more people in different sectors to start buying the product. So this is where businesses helping businesses to make more business comes in. And that's very, very big and very important. Let me see here. See, I've been going off the book. So now I'm trying to pick up some of the other things that I'm leaving out, kind of. So we got that. I think that's just going to be, that's the main thing there. I don't need my book to tell me that. Okay, the main thing here is that more businesses, especially in the tropics, because that's where a lot of these small farmers are, is in the tropics. They don't have a lot of money, okay? We were just talking about a lady last week that, what was her name? Kistasimbi or Chris?
Yeah, it was hard to say.
Yeah. Anyways, she's from, you don't remember, huh?
No.
Damn. She's doing great things.
It was in Africa. I just can't remember the region.
Okay, well, she started with zero, but she had zero, right? Except she had a cow. Mm-hmm. And that's a farmer. That is a farmer, okay? So she had a cow and she's producing milk. Very small, very low profits there, right? But had she had like, I don't even know what's out there for cows, but like some kind of wild milking system, you know, that allowed her to go and do other things while this thing just milked her cow, right? Then she could build in a different way, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody out there would have made some product similar to that. I mean, this is a hypothetical, by the way, but they would have made some product that, how do you get people to buy a product even if you're showing it off of your business? They want to see real world, because it's all nice in paper, it's nice in some factory that it's being made and being shown. But until it's been real world applications doesn't mean jack, right? So get your ideas out there, go and talk to these other businesses, and just put your product out there for free the first time. Mm-hmm. But get those applications, that real world application being shown. Get your video camera out, start showing this so that you can trump up some business elsewhere.
Yeah, like what we've seen in today's world, that just word of mouth is so powerful, and that's exactly how the influencer economy came about, is just people showing them using things and other people seeing them enjoying it, making their life easier and wanting it.
Yeah, good way to say that. You know, I was trying to think of a way.
Well,
I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Thinking last night, I was at my mom's house and she had this little ring, and my daughter was asking about it, so Mom showed it to us, and it's just a ring you slip on, but it's got a little thing on top of it, and you can choose the gauge, and it's for when you're knitting or crocheting, so that your yarn is just like, it's not getting tangled up in your fingers. It's just sliding through there nicely, and you can just keep going faster.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And you don't have to like twine it through your fingers to make sure it's flowing and not getting
check out
tangled.
our Shopify account for that. I'm just kidding. But we might do that in the future.
Yeah. And it was actually made by someone here in Saskatoon who got a patent on it and now sells them across Canada. And it's a really neat tool. And
Brilliant. And if you have an idea out there and you're not sure how to get it out to people, contact us. We're more than happy to, list your product, show it off, and get some traction going for you to bring in those bucks, right? So I think we've hit them all. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. As you can tell, I'm pretty jacked up about this. When it comes to businesses and governments and stuff like that, that's my jam, baby. I know so much, and I'm still learning. I shouldn't say I know everything, as I don't. But I'm still learning, but that's the stuff that, like, I don't need to get paid to talk about those things. I don't need to get paid to go and do those things. I love doing those things because that's where my joy and passion comes from. So very good.
Yeah, and I think the podcast really helps with that continued learning, because I've learned
Mhm.
the best way to learn something really well is by teaching it to someone else. Because if you can come up with a way to explain it in your own words, that understanding just runs so much deeper. So
Yeah.
when we talk about these things and discuss them, and we're sort of working them out in our head and we can't remember all the details, it's us taking in this information, really analyzing it, and then trying to say it back to you in a way that makes the most sense to us, because it's helping us learn, and hopefully it helps you learn so that you can pick up on some of these ideas and then speak to someone else about it and just keep that train going and that conversation going. And I think that's really what brings about real change, is different people discussing the same thing and bringing in their own perspectives, and that's how things grow.
Dang, that was packed. I love that. Up high with that one.
I've been a student for a long time, so put a lot of thought into this.
That was really good. A good synopsis there on how learning is and how we like to learn as well. So, if you like this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, tell a friend, send it to a friend, follow on all platforms, and we'll see you next week, right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. This has been the Global Falcons Podcast, and we appreciate you.